Very good evening to all of you. Uh, Now we are in this course, this program, Postgraduate Diploma in Sustainability Science. We have completed most of the courses, and we are at the end of session in the sense that we may be in this month. We are trying to complete all the counseling session. And by next week, we are going to take some more course on ecological economics and so on. When we look into the challenges to sustainable development in as a course, number of issues are there, and among those global environment issues, we know that urbanization is one of those. In one side, we're thinking that urbanization uh, I mean, is one of the important parameter to look in what of a nation, of a region. But unfortunately, if we look into the way we are urbanizing, we are doing urbanization, the way we are expanding urbanization, it brings another, chaos. So, as a student of sustainability science, let us have a look into how urbanization is happening. Because when we are advising or giving suggestion to the urbanization for a sustainable urbanization, there is a way, we must understand how it was happening, and in what way we have to make that the process of urbanization in a sustainable way. Looking into from that perspective, every year I used to give that different pollution perspective is global environmental issues. In this time, in addition to our study material, what we are getting in our study material on urbanization, I thought that better to at least we can have a look into this particular issue together. So today, I suggest that we will have a quick look into some of the slides where I prepare based on study material and some of the compilation from some other publication, and we can have an open discussion. What I mean is that let us have more presentation. But to have a background of the discussion, I will show you that this PPT in a very, in a very fast way. All right. So if you look into global figure, if you look into the global figure, as per United Nations 2019 report, that titled Urbanization Prospect 2018. We see that even if we do not go into report, when we look as a literate, educated person, you will see that population in urban area are that they are highly dense. And looking into the way we are urbanizing different region of a different country, this shows that the population that was live in urbanized environment is more than the rural area. So in 2018, 55% of the world population are residing in those urban areas, right? If you look back in 1950, that means 70 years back, it was about 30%. So it is expected that it will reach to 68% of the world population to the urban environment by 2050. So this figure projection shows that we need a proper planning in urbanizing, in the process of urbanization. And when we talk about urbanization, certain things we have to, aware and understand is what are its composition, how it is happening. And we know that urbanization is one of the indicators, as I told you, indicator to show the progress of a country. In the same time, we have seen in front of us, it is evidence that whatever we're talking about urbanized, well-urbanized environment, like, for example, in India, like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, there are a number of issues. The way of development, you will see the infrastructure and all these things in the, process of growth means like Bangalore. When it was established in few years back. The infrastructure was so good, but due to lack of some sustainable management, sustainable approach, then we have seen that number of issues in front of us in terms of infrastructure degradation and others. In the same time, when you look into the population structure, there are disparity in the way the benefits are getting in different groups of population. So that we have to understand uh, before we look towards the direction of urbanization. So as we know that when we look into the concept of urbanization, what is happening is that technically, if you look into that, it is a very complex issue. You cannot urbanize in a very easy way. And if you look very simple and simple way, urbanization is, for example, uh, in a simple logical term, we can say a place has become an urbanized or a city or a town with the increasing number of population and with development of more infrastructure. With that of the modern world in context of the modern way of development. So that is happening. That is one of the way we look at urbanization. In the same way, if you look into the characteristic of urbanization, you will see when you compare to some other region in that surrounding environment, will have difference in difference in different that determinant of what we can say characteristic of that environment. For example, if you look into infrastructure, also there are some differences compared to surrounding area or other region of other part of that region. Then if you look into the population structure, if you look into so many aspects, social structure, there's a lot of difference, right? What we can summarize that technically urbanization happened because of one is because of the natural process of population growth, which we are adding more infrastructure development in that area, and the infrastructure development and the growth of population. Once first is the growth of population, it's higher than surrounding area, and the way we are developing infrastructure is far better than other surrounding area, right? Then, if you look into the first urbanization, the process of urbanization can be looked as a student of sustainable science from can be studied. First is what are the factors of this urbanization, and we know that urbanization is happening and you cannot stop that. Then what are the impacts? So that if you know the impact, then before we set up a new city or new urban environment, we'll be able to tackle those gaps, and we'll make those new urban settlement or new places in a proper way. Then benefits, of course, when you, you are going towards an economic growth, I mean, automatically, there will be some benefit, right? So when you have a quick look into the factor what we are looking is that urbanization is because of the process of modernization, industrialization. First, town comes form consider what I'm talking. I mentioned that it is about the concentration of population in a particular region, right? Then in the succeeding generation, population is increasing, and then that is natural increase. Then based on population size, we identify that as an urbanized environment, and which do some of the characteristic or development activities that was happened during that and in the process of those 10-20 years, and it was far better than other places. Then secondly, urbanization happened because one is real push and the other is urban pool. When we talk about rural pools, it is about rural overpopulation. If you look into rural overpopulation, the point is that, in a rural area as compared to urban area, right? I mean, let us forget about the term urban as compared to those area which are better in that from that rural area. There you will see some livelihood opportunities over there. And if you look to rural area, there are limited livelihood opportunity. For example, a farmer who have 50 acre of land, if he has, if you look into our for further generation, if they have 5 sons, then it will be divided into equally divided among their children. In the same way, it will continue. So it will continue up to the grandchildren. Then that ownership of land will be decreased. In the same way, the income of I'm taking on the example of that particular agricultural field. The income of that particular field per person will be decreased. And so the factor is that when income has become per person has become very less, then we'll find out another opportunity, another alternative way of income generation or livelihood. That's why then they are pushing from rural area. And then when we find out another opportunity, employment opportunity in those, better area, it's we term as urban area or cities, then they pull those push factor is pulled by that areas. And another reason what we can talk is attraction to city life. No, certain group of the people are more, happy, or they're more, enjoy in city life the way the people are staying in the city, like, highly consumptive lifestyle, this infrastructure, and, entertainment facilities offered there. And they feel that, okay, it's better to live in our city area, right? Instead of staying here in my rural area. That is one certain generation they used to do. They will sell off their particular that lane, those who have big land owner, whatever assets they have, and they will come to the city. Then other factor is educational cultural region. Then we talk about educational, people from generation to generation, they want to improve their social social status in one side, and other side, every parents, they wants to give higher education facilities to their children. So in that process, for example, when you have higher education, you earn your children earn higher education, for example, after graduation, and you may not have a university in your region, so they have to move to that to another city, right, for higher education. Then another is then when we look into the livelihood opportunity or job opportunity, only some of the conventionally that degree or diplomas are available in rural areas and education institutions. So if you look into the cities area, you will find out number of professional courses, and that's pull those young generation towards the cities. And after they get those qualification, when there is no way to return to their villages or their native places, because it will not give job in that area. It may be giving, but it will be less number. So majority of the people who are getting a professional degree, they will always be there in urban area. This is certain factors, some of the factors that gives this phenomenon of urbanization a very fast way. Then what are the impact? When we look into the impact, and today what we are going to discuss is, we know it, but we are trying to, bring in our mind today, like, when your constant density of population increase, of course, for example, in particular city, small city, or when outsiders, whatever the factor we're talking, if there is real that urban pool is happening, then population density will be increased. When it increase, of course, this will bring you more resource demand. When we have more resource demand, then there is another social issues also there, environment issues also there. Then and then another is when population is increasing over there, you need expansion to. Let us take an example, any of the cities, you take an example of any of the cities, take an example in Delhi. Some of the villages they still use the word villages. In that villages, they used to have 100 or 150 households. So then to give more, population to live in that place, migrating population, they construct more land and some of their agricultural land, which is not giving any output because of the situation, because of lack of irrigation facilities and many more. Then they construct more houses. So in that way, they change land use, land cover of that area. Then when population increase, of course, that is related to your land use, land cover change. When it happen in the process, also energy requirement is very high. In the same way, when you establish that housing, then that's also increase higher energy. Then when you establish that, that automatically comes into road demand and pressure, urban transport has to be increased. Then to increase of food and water demand, then consumer good. Because when you look into those population, working people, and when you have earned a lot of money, means as compared to what their life used to be in their rural area, and then they will start when you have some disposable income, then accordingly you started to spend money on some consumer goods. Then when concentration of urbanization happening in some city area, what happened because of those high population density, some of the negative impact will be seen in front of you. And because of that, sometime, for example, some people who used to stay in that heart of the city, they might not be able to stay in very comfortably in that area. Then they will try to move out from the semi-urban area. That's we call it suburbanization or urban, suburban or urban sprawl. For example, what is happening in Delhi? Delhi used to be a small area. Now we are expanding that region of the Delhi in in other places like Gurgaon. It was an urban sprawl. Sonipat, now extending up to Sonipat, other places, Noida. So this is the impact of urbanization. When it comes to the impact, direct impact up to suburbanization, then same situation happen. Means that has to change everything, your land use, land cover, right? Then this same way urban sprawl can also be linked into your push and the pull factor, which we are talking about when urbanization happen. Here, one pull and the push factor of urban sprawl, means peri-urban area, is those who are staying in the city. Let us take an example of those original settler in Delhi or that heart and the heart of Delhi. They sometimes feel that, okay, it's very congested and the land price is very high. It's better to move on. For example, that few buildings about 1 crore, 5 crores, 6 crores over here. Then in that same amount, I will get better farmhouse or somewhere in Gurgaon area or somewhere in peri-urban. In the same way, that is push-pull factors happening, right? And some people, all people like, because of the urbanization, that pollution and other, when increases environmental factor, socioeconomic factor, those factors make pull-push factors and gives an urban sprawl, the phenomenon of urban sprawl. So these are the reason why we are having urban sprawl, right? And even those working in that urban area, sometimes they feel that, okay, if I'm getting some cheaper accommodation over there in a semi-urban area, it's better to stay here because your infrastructure is good. No, you can travel in your own car. Then And some of the things like nowadays, ICT is also increased, and the first, development of ICT is also going well. So these are certain factors, pull and push factor, that brings into urban sprawl. Then drawback. When you talk about drawback of urban sprawl, is, as I told, one is, when for cheaper you are going there, right? For accommodation, giving a simple example, outskirt of that your city. For example, those people who are working in heart of Delhi, they will prefer to, stay in that urban spot like that Noida and that Gurgaon. And what they will do, they will travel in their own car. When you travel in your own car, then what happen? Pollution will increase, number of traffic will increase. Then these are the certain these are the impact of urbanization, drawback of urbanization, and many more. Then when urban sprawl happen in that area also, that land use, land cover has to be changed. For example, when Delhi shifted industrial area to the other region like that Noida and Gurgaon, what happened? The productive lane of Noida area, Gurgaon area, that has to be managed for your that establishment of factories and others. When you establish there factories, then it includes in your productive fertile agricultural land, and you change all that area. That has a negative impact on the environment, not only to the environment structure also, right? Then benefit of urbanization is, when you look into first you look into sociologically. If we look into sociologically, it brings a number of cultural minglings, and that awares, that give a harmonious relation, social harmonious relation. Okay, we came to know, okay, there's different culture exists in our country or different part of the world. Then that means that gives you interaction to know more about different culture and geopolitical. And these are happening at, these are some of the benefit. And the other is, it is the urbanization gives you more development. Like, as we know that urbanization is the powerhouse of economy. So most of the development, most of the activities happen in urban area. If you look, let us take a look into example in Delhi and Mumbai. Most of the economic activities happen where it is happening. It is in the Mumbai, city of Mumbai. And the same way, when we're talking about political situation, we are talking about central government offices. It house in Delhi. So these are some of the benefit of urbanization. Then we have high tech and creating new job opportunity, better education. That's we are talking about the push factor and the pull factor. The pull factor of whatever we are talking, these are the, pull factors. These are the, benefits of urbanization. Then certain, we know that problems of urbanization is there. When we talk about problems as a student of sustainability, we know that when there is density in population is there, then that groundwater pollution will be there is pollution of high demand of resources, high demand of everything, then high demand of that infrastructures over there. At the same time, if you look into those urbanized area, and the most important thing is that that the facility of sanitation, health, and hygiene is not equally benefited to all the community over there. You have seen that some of the slum areas in that area in Mumbai and Delhi, they are not getting that the required, the basic minimum that needs like water, Delhi and water and a health sanitation facility over there. And moreover, that social crime is happening because of that. These are certain, problems of urbanization. I am not explaining so much because it is some of the common phenomenon we know in front of us. Then what are the possible strategies to elevate urban problems? What I want to say in this one basic, simple sentence in here is the possible strategies is to find out that in holistic way of sustainable urban planning process. So we need to have a sustainable growth. We need to have an adequate infrastructure with that of basic life support system over here, right? And another here, the first one, which is very most important, is if you want to minimize the process of urbanization, and we have to stop rural push and urban pull. To stop that rural push, we need to develop some infrastructure, basic infrastructure, livelihood opportunities at the rural area. Then only we will be able to limit the impact of urbanization up to some extent. These are some of the facts. Then let us have a quick look into the urbanization process in India. I would like to present you some of the history, how that India's population increasing or urbanization, and the process of urbanization was happened since our independence. Okay, and through urban policy, right? In that, let us have a quick look into the conceptualization of the process of urbanization and how it was started since independent, and we will look into different 5-year plans. In first 5-year plan, as you know, in that time, our process of urbanization, our concern about urbanization was because of the impact of the immediate post-independence, that partition issues. So because of that, most of our urbanization was happened due to those type of that partition, right? So refugees, as you in the time we call it refugees, now I feel those people, they are no more refugees. So in that time, the Ministry of Work and Housing was set up in 5-year plan to ensure speedy, spatial and occupational rehabilitation of those refugees, right? Because when they come as a refugee in that time, suddenly we have to give basic amenities like food, shelter, and clothing. So that was the main objective in that time of the first 5-year plan. And one of the important achievement was the city of Chandigarh was also established in that time as a symbol of modern India. Certain organization like National Building Organization was established. The School of Planning and Architecture was established. These are some of the achievement that was seen and that was done during the first 5-year plan. In second 5-year plans, we know that because of that refugees, we need to develop more houses. We need to plant properly on that. And in fact, because of those refugees, that was not able to managed improperly, and that slums, there are a number of slums was there, especially in Delhi. So to improve that particular section of that society, we in 1956, the Slum Area Improvement Clearance Act was passed, right, to have a proper master planning of developing a city. In the third plan, the major focus in third plan, we have seen a number of authorities at different cities was constituted that to look into the proper management and the proper establishment of urbanization process, urban development and urban management plans. Like Delhi Development Authorities, Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authorities, and Madras Metropolitan Development Authorities. This is some of the achievement during 3rd-year plan. And if you come to the 4th plan, what we realized, India realized in that 4th plan, especially in 1969 and 74, we know that some of the cities like Mumbai, the Kolkata, they are overcrowded before independence. And to give less pressure on this area, they started to think upon what we have to do to prevent the concentration of population in this area. And in that way, they are in that fourth plan, this articulated the need for urban land policy at the state level and provided specific guidelines on that. Then smaller cities can be established. So in 1970, the Housing Urban Development Corporation was set up to provide loans to urban development authorities and state housing board for housing and other development. HUDCO was established, and the major objective of HUDCO was promotion of housing for the person belonging to low-income groups and economically weaker section of society. Here, you can link up with that slum area. Now, in that slum, we know that they do not have enough money to establish their own house, and that is the low income, that is the provision of the HUDCO. At least we can provide housing for those those people. Then come to sixth plan. The sixth plan's major focus was on development of a small and medium town and giving basic services in urban slums. Still, and up to sixth plan in 80, the issues of slum was still today also we have it exists. We are not able to improve their livelihood, or what we can say economic condition there in still today. In that way, in 1988, that national housing policy was announced. Okay, so that this policy's major objective was at least everybody should have at least their house. Then comes into eighth plant at the beginning. Then eighth plant, the eighth major objective of the eighth plan was 74 Constitutional Amendment Act was promulgated. Through that, 1992. Measure objective in the sense what I'm saying is it is not measure objective. What I'm saying, in 1992 we have this Constitutional Amendment Act. This the landmark. This act saw decentralization decision making, citizen. Because when we talk about urbanization and process of urbanization and managing the urbanization and proper planning of urbanization process and its maintenance, we need the strong local bodies. That was the beginning of giving more power to those local bodies. That was given under 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, then 1996, eighth plan period. In that eighth plan period, the publication of Indian Infrastructure Report was there. And this is one of the very important milestones which give an overall view of what are the basic infrastructure we are having, where are the gaps that was identified through this report, right? So in ninth plant, ninth plants was originally, it was influenced with that of the Indian Infrastructure Report. When the report identified some of the gaps, then they're trying to improve those gaps, to mend all those gaps. So in that way, in 1998, we have the National Housing Habitat Policy, and with the promise to shelter to all by the year 2001. Then come to 10 plan, 2002 to 2007. Then in the backdrop, we have urban comprehensive urban reform. And then in that way, the latest one is, in 12 plan, we have Smart Cities Mission 2015. Our journey of urbanization, the issues of urbanization was tackled in different, this planning, different 5-year plan, starting from your settling proper, giving proper settlement to the refugees, then making giving proper infrastructure, basic amenities to the slums area. Then in the evolution, we have given, we strengthened our local bodies for effective implementation of urban planning process and the management process. Then to have to have everybody should have the house and the house for all program. And now we're talking about redesigning all cities, and that is our smart cities mission, giving whatever the possible infrastructure in a sustainable way. Then, no, certain challenges are there when we talk about urbanization in India. We know that how urbanization was happened. We are also coming to discuss more on how the evolution of the concept of the meaning and the concept of different categories of urbanization in under a few minutes. First, challenges is, if you look into the urban system in India, now most of the urban area you will see in the western flank. And that, because of that, we are imbalanced in regional development. When you have imbalance in regional development, automatically, that is what we know that is a pull factor, one of the pull factor that is the biggest challenges. When we do not have a uniform development progress across even urbanization also, in the process of urbanization also, if we are not able to develop urban areas in a proper way in different places of the world, places of India, if you are concentrating only in certain region, then it will have another impact. Then second is, when urbanization happen, as I told you, as we know that, for example, large cities, they are controlling significant share of the Indian economy. If you look into that Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, they're controlling the economy of India. Delhi, Bangalore, right? Then third is, then when you look into urbanization, as I told you, in a place like when Bangalore was young, and then their infrastructure was very smooth. We think that, oh, Bangalore is very, highly developed and just well maintained. But during the last 5 to 10 years, we see that the infrastructure, the facilities, the infrastructure, the quality of infrastructure over there is not much good. It is degrading day by day. Then fourth is, social exclusion, crime, and violence is happening because of, as I told you, because of that immigration, because of the cultural divide. That cultural complexity has one coin of, that benefits and advantage. Another coin of this advantage is, this created exclusion, process of social exclusion, and sometimes crime and violence. The simple example is what has happened in Delhi during the last, it is because of the cultural, we can say cultural exclusion. And the fifth one is when policies to tackle the urban challenges to avail the emerging opportunities means have been lackadaisical and in many ways irrelevant to solve present problem. Simple way, what it is saying is that we are not properly managing and we are not progressing properly in a sustainable way, right? These are some of the challenges. Then let us have a quick look into India's urban system. If you look in India's urban system, we have 1.21 billion population in 2011. And India was one of the second largest countries after China in terms of size of population, we know that. And 31.2% of our population in urban area. In global context, we know that it crossed 50%. In India, we have only 31.2%, right? Yeah, you look into this particular this table, you will find out here, how urban population is increasing. Certain, if you look from 1931 onward, 1920, as I told you, then the process of urbanization already, before independence, we have already faced the challenges on urban areas. So if you look in here, 1931 onward, percentage of urban population is suddenly it jumped. 8.4, it was 1921, 10 years, it jumps 19.1, 1941, it is 32, 41, right? Now, luckily today, 2011, 2001 to 11, 31.8. And this also certain factors over there because of some conceptualization of the meaning of urbanization. Okay, we'll see in the next few slides, right? Then, as I told you that the growth rate of urban and rural population is very significant. In the beginning, it was because the immigration population from Pakistan due to religious riots and due to, our the partition and so on, right? And after that first 5-year plan or something, and after that, and our urban growth is in the beginning, it was because of the immigration from Pakistan due to partition, and the later stage, and till today, and urbanization is because of this factor of what we're talking about, urban push and pull factor, pull and push factor of urban real urban that linkages. Then here, the more important identification of new settlement is urban. Now here, see, we are going to look into, in 1951, the definition of urban was arbitrary. In that time, urban center was identified on the basis of urban local body or municipality. Civil lines were also the same as 5,000 more number of person, clusters of houses, that is urban. And 1951 onward, the criteria is population not less than 5,000 and settlement with less than 5,000 population, but having urban characteristic like supply of drinking water, electricity, school, post offices, hospitals, etc. These areas are called as urbanization, urban area. Then in 1961, more strict areas criteria to identify urban was adopted. They are statutory town and the census towns. That is, when you talk about statutory town, it is all places with statutory bodies like corporation, municipality, cantonment board, or a notified town area committee. Then census town based on census, right? These are some of the criteria, sub-criteria like population 5,000 and above, density of population less than 4,000 person per square kilometer, and 75% of male population engaged in agriculture. This third category was changed in 1971, right? Here, to 75% of the male men working, a worker is man worker, then 183 days. So 1970, one word as of now, there is not much change in that definition of urban and classification of the definition of urban area, right? We know that city of Kolkata, Mumbai, and Chennai, they were urban before independence. Then Delhi become urban because of the political benefit, political importance and all those things. And in the process, says we have, number of urban areas are growing in the last 70 years in India after independence. So as per census, then this urban areas is classified into 7. One is above 100,000, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6. Less than 5,000 is class 6, right? So these are the classification based on census of India. You will see here total number of towns from 1901 to 2011. 1901, our total number of towns was 1,811. But today we are having 6,171 total number of towns in India in 2011, right? Then another is urban in the Indian economy. We know that automatically that this urban environment, urban areas gives better economic. It's a powerhouse of economy across the world. I know I'm not to look into these figures. Most of us know about that, right? In the same way, consumption is also increased. I want to show more on, say, when you look into economic now, the urban area give most of the bank deposit credit and credit deposit ratios are higher in urban area when it is powerhouse of economy automatically it will be there. And because of this imbalance also, there are certain negative impact to the country's economy. I mean, that equal distribution of economy. Right. I will share this slide. This is compilation of from some of the reports. I will keep all these issues for discussion. Then urban and civic amenities. We know that at the one side we are happy that urbanization happening. It is a powerhouse of economy, but in the same time, you know, if you look into some figure, and we are not getting better civic amenities in urban area. Like for example, in 2011, that census report, we have seen that 38% of urban households in India did not have tap water from treated sources, right? Then the share of households not having the source of drinking water within their premises was about 28%. You know, 38%, 28% is not a small percentage. If you look into figure, it is in a high number. That's why I'm talking about when urbanization. If you look into urbanization in immediate neighbors, you know, some household they are getting tap water, and in some household you are not getting. For example, in slum area they are not getting proper this treated water and so on. So, and if you look into the basic facilities, what we're talking about, that latrine, using latrine, then community toilets and all these things, also we are not in a good position. So that needs to be taken care. When we talk about social security in improving our universal health at individual level. Even, you know, the bathing facilities are not available within the on-premises. That's in 2011 census. It is about 13%, right? So this figure shows that though urbanization happening, so still we are lacking on giving civic amenities in those areas. On the other hand, in the same time, where the situation of housing has been very grim, as we know that number of slums, we have seen a number of slums in different, urban areas, different cities, and urban sprawl areas across the country, right? Say, slum constituting 17.4% total urban household. No, it's not a small amount. That is 13.7 million household out of 68 million person, right? This is it's not a good number, right? In 2011, you know, 38.1% total household in 53 million plus, means like city of Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai. No, we are living in slum. So when you have 38.1%, means, you know, this shows that though we are progressing well in another side, it shows that that equal benefit is not given to all the citizen over here, right? This is not good. And if you look into a pollution perspective, again, you know, because of this urbanization, because the improved economic condition, in the same time, the number of vehicles increasing. When number of vehicles is increasing, you know, pollution load is also increasing. This is also one of the concerns we have to understand. So when we implement those sector transport and telecommunication, transport infrastructure, road and transport infrastructure, we have to keep in our mind that how to minimize those impacts. See on this figure, as of 31st March 2016, we have Delhi have 8.85 million of registered vehicles. Right? So these are the figure of rate. And if you look into qualitatively, we'll see during 10 years from 2006 to 2016, then 1.97 times, you know, 2.34, Bangalore, see. So this has to be understood very carefully, and if you want to, because the major impact of urbanization is pollution. So we have to limit the pollution. So in the process, we have to understand how to, limit those possible impact, right? When you improve, when you increase those I mean, for example, taking into account vehicle, one is pollution and traffic jam always happen if your infrastructure is not good. When you have traffic jam, then your time is wasting on that. And many, all these issues are interlinkages. It's like fabrics and the web of life, when you in a food web, if there is some issues, then the issues is also directly or indirectly to others. So we have to understand. And because of this increase of this air pollution and so on, health issues over there, mm, even if you look into present that corona crisis was directly related to respiratory diseases, the concentration is very high, number is very high in those urban environment. This is one of the factor, because your pollution and this pollution directly related to your immune system and healthcare system. Then one is social exclusion, which we have discussed on that. If you look into Mumbai, like Hindu-Muslim segregation, different settlement is already seen evidence in front of us, and we have seen number of that communal that class happening in different cities, which we must try to avoid. If we have properly planned, it is very much important. I told you, we know that the urbanization has in one side that advantage is that where the cultural complexity gives us more harmonious relation. In the same time, if something's happened, then that gives a classes between different culture, different community, that should be avoided. So summarizing all these things, I will not summarize it. I will share with all of you. I'm going to have photos. So, okay. So with this, okay. Mhm. Okay. With this session is open for discussion.